How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing something new. It's obviously popular throughout YouTube and everything, but I'm actually going to be making my first tier list. And before we get into it, obviously definitely be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff, but definitely let me know down below in the comments if you guys like this sort of content. Again, I'm new to it. I've never really done it before. It's pretty self-explanatory. You have different tier lists, and I'm just going to be going through today and ranking the different generations of the Ford Mustang. Now, previously I've done many videos on the Ford Mustang. I've done multiple reviews on different Mustangs, and personally they're probably my favorite model of car, I guess I should say, to ever exist. My 2008 V6 Mustang has been featured on the channel multiple times. It was my first car. I still do have it. It's kind of like my daily driver now. And I love the thing. I know it gets a lot of hate, or any V6s or EcoBoosts or anything. They get a lot of hate for not being GTs, but it's alright. It's fun. It's a cool commuter car, and I fell in love with it from the first day that we got it when I was 17, and I still love it to this day. It's been a blast to own, and I truly do enjoy learning more about the different weird niche Mustangs that have existed throughout the years. But yeah, anyways, let me know if you guys would like to see more tier lists on either model of cars or brands or whatever you may think. So now, anyways, getting into it now, in front of us you could see the tier list and then a couple pictures of just different Mustangs from different generations right here. It looks like we got a 65.5, kind of like late 80s, maybe mid 80s Fox body. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I believe those headlights were the older headlights. And actually, before we even get into this, right off the bat here, I specifically made this tier for this exact image. Now, I didn't make this tier list, and if I did make it, I don't know if I would include the Mustang Mach-E personally, and I've voiced my opinions on this vehicle many times in my channel, so I'll kind of keep it short. But essentially, I don't think it should be called Mustang. I think it's just called the Mustang for marketing purposes. I mean, yes, it's electric. I personally don't even mind if it's electric. I don't care if they come out with an electric trim for the Mustang. I hope they don't go fully electric in the future, like, you know, the Challenger has, and I guess the Camaro has been discontinued, but I think Chevy's going to come out with like an electric version of that in the next couple years or something. But I just don't like it because it's so different. There's so many new things that have never been associated with the Mustang name before. Yes, it is electric, but it's all-wheel drive. It's a mid-size SUV, and when it comes to performance, yes, I do know that Ford Racing didn't make that insane 1400 power one, but besides that, I personally don't see it being performance based at all. If anything, it's just a commuting vehicle, which is just, in my opinion, it's not a Mustang. Let's just leave it at that. Let me know if you disagree with me down below. And also, I think the other kind of no-brainer of this video, doesn't matter what Mustang you own, if whatever, it doesn't matter what your opinion is. I feel like everyone should have the first generation Mustang in the S tier, because that's what started it all. Going from 1964 and a half, technically, up to 1973, we've seen some of the most beautiful and elegant Mustangs in this, generation. This is obviously, towards the end of the 60s is when Shelby started making Mustangs and kind of putting his name on them, and we got so many amazing models in this generation, and that's really what set the bar for basically every single generation to come. And personally, I don't think any generation has hit that bar since then. I do think one generation has gone close, which I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, that's really what started it all, the original pony car, and just a perfect mix between something that you can daily drive and a kind of classic American muscle car, even though, again, pony car is a little bit different than a muscle car. But yeah, with this generation, it brought the Camaro. It brought just so many different things in the domestic automotive world. So that's just a complete no-brainer S tier right off the bat. I guess I'll kind of just go in order here. Now, if you did see already the video when I went ahead and I ranked all the different generations. This is going to be very similar to that. So obviously, you know, I had number 1 in that video as the first generation. So this is going to be a very, very similar kind of layout because, again, it is my opinion. Now, since then, the 7th gen did come out. So stick around if you want to see where that kind of goes in. But I'll stay in order here. So now going to the Fox body. I like Fox bodies. I really do. For me, this is between B and C. I know some people don't like them. I know some people don't think they look like a classic Mustang. However, I think just the fact that their impact in the 80s and the 90s aftermarket scene and how so many people back then, I hear stories about my dad all the time growing up where every person you know that had a Fox body, it felt like turboed it, and they were really, really fun to drive once you slapped on a turbo. And even without them, they're just a great like little car. They kind of did keep that Mustang culture alive because they're smaller car, light in the rear, typical like V8. Obviously, this is when they started kind of experimenting with 4-cylinder turbos, so not all of them were V8s, but I'm going to put it in the B tier. I like the Fox body. I know I might get some hate, and you know, some people think it belongs in the C tier, but I like it. But again, for me, this is kind of like a B minus C plus. Like, I understand why some people can rank it lower. And also, if you've noticed, I don't have anything under C because I really don't hate a generation of the Mustang. And again, the Mach-E doesn't really count. And not for nothing, it's not really a generation. It's just like a different trim, I guess. So I don't know if you'd consider it part of the 7th generation or not. I guess in this tier list, we're going with it being separate. Now, next up, we do have the Mustang 2. Now, the Mustang 2 in this picture is a Cobra, which was probably the coolest Mustang 2 ever built. But unfortunately, this is going to be C tier. I think that this one is kind of self-explanatory as well. I know that in the previous ranking video I did, a lot of people, you know, kind of showed love to the Mustang 2 in the comments and didn't necessarily, because this was the last place generation in that video. And I understand it. Like, I like it. I really do like the Mustang 2, but what was happening in the world around 1973 when this 2nd generation came out, you had like the gas crisis, the fuel crisis going on in America. So this entire model, again, except for the Cobras, were really choked down. And actually, I guess even the Cobras, if you compare them to other Cobra or Shelby models of the past and future, they were kind of choked down. They varied from the design of the 1st generation kind of a little bit. Obviously not as big of a difference going into the Fox body. But they weren't bad. Again, I don't hate them. I don't think I hate a single Mustang generation. But unfortunately, something has to go in the C list or in the C tier. So I'm going to put that one in there. Now, moving on, we have the 5th gen. Now, again, like I said before, I own a 2008 V6. I've driven multiple different S197 GTs, basically from 2014 to an 08 to an 05, and I also driven my favorite Mustang ever created, the 2014 GT500 on the channel, and that was an absolute blast, and that still is my dream Mustang. Obviously, you know, people will talk about the unicorns all the time, like your Eleanors, like the old GT500s, old GT350s, or the GT350Rs. Like, those are insanely cool, but me personally, I just love that 2013, 2014 GT500 with the 5.8 liter supercharged V8 in it and that Trinity engine or whatever. But I love the 5th generation. And when the 5th generation came out in 05, that first year of sales, I think they did like over 60,000, really kind of re-energized the domestic market. And then, just like in the 1st generation, it brought back the Camaro. It brought back like the Challenger, the Charger that we've seen today. So because of that, I'm really tempted to put it up in S tier with the 1st gen. But I think other people do have some negative comments about the 5th gen. I know the 3-valve in the GTs aren't really that good of a power plant to make power with, but they are a very, very reliable engine. And I do know that the Coyote was introduced, so I mean, I don't know. The 5th gen is a weird generation for me because I just love it so much. But for the sake of you guys, I guess I'll keep it down in A tier. For now. Now, moving on, we have the 6th gen right after the 5th gen. This generation was kind of exciting. It wasn't dull. I mean, it was the first Mustang ever to have an independent rear in it, and it didn't really stray from the feel of driving a Mustang. I've driven multiple 6th gens before, and it's not like they feel super modernized and completely different than some of the older Mustangs. And honestly, at the end of the day, 2014, 2015, when they were developing this new generation, it was about time that they put an independent rear in a Mustang. This generation did bring back the GT500 again in 2020, but it's probably more famous for the 2017, I guess 2016 is when it came out, the GT350s. And that was the first Mustang with a flat plane crank engine, so it sounds more European than American, very high revving engine, great car. Because of that, I'm probably gonna put it up in A tier as well. This is a little bit biased. I guess just culture differences. I was born in 2000, so as I was a teenager, these things were coming out, and I do really like them. I like the facelift that they got in like the 2018 models and on. But yeah, I don't really like them as much as the 5th gen, but I definitely like them more than like a B tier generation. Now moving on, this is a car that I have not ranked yet because it wasn't in that previous video that I did. It didn't exist back then when I did that video. So it's the new 7th gen or 2024 Mustang, or the S650, not the 550 from the 6th gen, but the S650 I guess is the chassis code. And it's alright, it's good. I really love the fact that they stayed basic with it. I know some people might be like, oh, it's another Coyote, but it's the new 4th gen Coyote. It's a little bit updated. The intake manifold is slightly different. You kind of have those like twin throttle bodies on the regular GTs. They did come out with a new performance name, like a new performance brand for the first time since I don't know when, with the Dark Horse, so that is something to be excited about. I'm really, really excited to see what Ford has in the future for this new 7th gen. But obviously it's only been out for like one model year. I guess like a year and a half ago it was introduced to the public. But I'm very, very happy that Ford decided to not fully go hybrid or fully go like electric and still keep an internal combustion engine in an age where we see so many domestic cars leaving, such as the Camaro, such as the Challenger, such as the Charger. Like I've named them all already. But Ford has kind of decided to keep going with that. So I think that's a very, very good thing, and because of that, I'm probably going to rank it a little bit higher and put it up in B tier. Again, I could kind of put it in C tier too because we haven't really seen much from it yet, but I'll put it in B tier because I do really like what Ford did. I love the kind of newer headlights. They're very aggressive. I like the angled taillights, which I know they've been getting some hate from. Now the last Mustang that we have not ranked yet is the 4th generation. Now it started off it's basically SN95, but in 2002 they did get the New Edge facelift, which I really, really liked. Again, I was born in 2000, so some of like those kind of early 2000s video games that I played growing up, all of like the Need for Speed games had the 2000 Ford Mustang Cobra R in it, which is obviously a very limited edition. But I really, really loved using that car in Need for Speed when I was growing up. I understand why people hate it, and in my previous videos, actually the second to last generation that I ranked, right in front of the Mustang 2, but I'm going to probably have to put it in B tier. This is another car just like the Fox body, where it's like it can kind of go from B to C. But I definitely think the New Edge is better than the Mustang 2, and I don't know. Another highlight about the 4th gen is they brought back the Mach 1 too, which I know recently just had an iteration, I believe in like 2019 or 2021. I think it's actually 2021. But yeah, they kind of brought back the Mach 1. I like the New Edge. I like the SN95s. They're not bad cars. The power plants weren't that good. Yeah, they're alright. They're alright. Definitely not as good as kind of the modern retro design that you see with the 5th and the 6th gen, and I guess now the 7th gen. But I did like the 4th gen. And in a time where you had kind of catfish Camaros and those kind of weird shaped Firebirds driving around, it wasn't that bad of a design for like the late 90s, early 2000s, so I'll put it up in B tier. But anyways, this is my final like tier list ranking of all of the different generations of the Ford Mustang throughout the years. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I messed up somewhere or how you would do it differently. And also, while you're in the comments debating, saying whether you agree with this list or you think I know absolutely nothing at all about Mustangs, definitely be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help out a ton as a smaller car channel here on YouTube. But anyways, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.